Welcome back. So this is a really cool section of the trip for us. This was one of the first towns that we rode through, Ely, and it's not Eli, I learned, it was Ely, and they had a really cool, beautiful mural of the big American flag with some kids of all different ethnicities and backgrounds on the wall. And we rode through it. There was a lot of construction going on. There was a bunch of adventure, and then we didn't really know where we were going to stay that night. And we posted something on Facebook to say, hey, if anybody knows anybody, we'd love to stay with at someone's house. And we got the opportunity to stay with a local out and just on the outside of town. And it was one of the coolest parts of the trip because they took us out on their ATV and they took us up the hillside to overlook the whole town at night during sunset. And it was just incredibly breathtaking. The horses, Gammy and Hal, got a nice big pasture to hang out in, to relax. And before we started on the trip the next day, and it was a really nice break where we felt like humans for a change, not living in and out of the trailer without running water, and got an opportunity to stay with the family, get a fresh home-cooked meal, and had a lot of fun that night. What's up, guys? So we are in Ely, Nevada. Gammy and I are waiting our turn to go across the crosswalk so we can get to the other side. And it is a beautiful day here. It is a cool town, really, really neat town. And it's somewhere that it definitely kind of has a lot of history. We passed a couple of Pony Express trail, like museums and signs and murals. And it's really cool, thank you, sir, to see people like kind of appreciating the history and where they've come from and where we started, because I think history has always been one of my favorite subjects because it's so important to learn where we've been, where we've come from, but also more importantly where we're going, because if we don't learn from our past, then we're going to repeat the same mistakes in the future. And it's so important to know. We're passing a little bit of saloon, a little live music bar here. This is the last town really we're going through until we get to Utah. We have about another 60 miles or so to Utah, and they got a lot of construction here. It looks like a growing town. It's pretty neat. Everybody seems really friendly and open, and I just wanted to share. There's been a lot of country and mountain and desert videos and stuff, but I wanted to treat you guys a little bit to a little videos in the city. So people have been really respectful of the horses here. And Gammy's just doing great with all this traffic coming by. And I really wanted to show you guys this mural, because this mural right here signifies to me what this whole trip's about. Just like all of us people are the same goes for horses. Every single horse we come across, whether it's a multi-million-dollar horse or it's a horse that was accidentally bred at a rescue or given away, we are all the same. We all have talents, and we are all proud to be Americans. And this mural is just an incredibly amazing representation of 5 kids from all different backgrounds who represent the United States of America. And the same can be said for horses, whether it's Gammy and Arabian or rescue horses. No matter what breed they are, they all represent good. I love you guys. Take care. We're going to go about another 5 miles, try to get through town, and pick up again tomorrow. Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. Hopefully you're excited for a great weekend and y'all have a lot of awesome things planned. Anyway, I just couldn't miss this opportunity to show and share with you guys. I got Hal riding this morning. He's become a bridleless professional here in his old age, and we are upcoming on Wheeler Peak and Great Basin National Park. And I just had to share this beauty with you. Wheeler Peak is right there, and it's over 13,000 feet tall. And I think that's Windy Peak next to it. And this might be the biggest mountain range that we're going to pass until we get to Utah and Colorado. It's the last one for sure in Nevada, because we're about 25 miles or so from the border of Utah. But it just makes me think, even if you don't have horses, get out in the nature. Bring your dogs or your cat or your friend or your husband or your wife or whoever, your horse, and just get out and see the beauty. If there is a place that you've been wanting to see for years, there's no better time than the present, guys. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. So I think you need to book on your calendar, that place that you want to go. Spend some time outside and just go for it. Even if it's not the perfect time in your life to do it, there is never going to be a perfect time to see all this beautiful Mother Nature that God has placed in front of us. And as we start this ride today, and I wake up seeing Wheeler Peak and in front of us Great Basin National Park, I'm just so thankful that I'm able to spend this time outside and see some of the places maybe I won't ever see again. Who knows? I hope I do. But if not, it's just a thing of beauty. And there's no better creatures on the planet that I'd rather spend it on with Hal and Gammy and Liberty and my amazing sister Nettie and all of you guys, because we're all in this together. We're loving life, and I hope you guys are too. Because when the sun rises every day, it's a gift. And I just wanted to share that with you guys, the beauty that we are seeing this morning. I love you all. Take care. From Nevada, so close to Utah. We'll talk to y'all soon. So in this next video, we're actually exiting Nevada, not Nevada. And I know in some of the previous videos that I posted even today, sometimes I still say Nevada. So for those in Nevada that have continued to educate me, I'm sorry to be letting you down, but I'm working on it. My wife is behind the scenes telling me, hey, you fool, you need to start pronouncing it correctly. But it was such a beautiful state. Yeah, there were so many amazing people. The journey was pretty phenomenal in a lot of ways. And for those who don't know, Nevada has the most mountain ranges out of any other state. So I felt like we would go through a desert piece, then up a mountain range, then down again into another beautiful desert, and then up again over another mountain range. And I felt like we're just doing this each and every day, but it really showcased the power and the strength that Gammy and Hal had, not only physically, but mentally. And it was a state that to me was one of my favorite states that I've ever been to for so many ways, not only because of the natural beauty that it has, but for the phenomenal people in and out of the state. And we had a blast. What's happening, guys? So today is a big day. There's Nettie, the famous photographer, videographer, everything on Facebook, just my inspiration. She's everything to this trip. And up above is Great Basin National Park, Wheeler Peak, Windy Peak. And that is Nevada, guys. And right behind me is a sign saying, thanks for visiting Nevada. And before we move forward to Utah, I just wanted to give thanks to Lead with Horses, to the Medicine Horse Project, to all the wonderful people along the way that have helped us travel across this beautiful state of Nevada. And a couple of things I learned. It's not Nevada, it's Nevada. And it's not Eli, it's Ely. Also, Nevada is a home of beautiful mountain ranges. They have some of the most incredible, breathtaking sights in geography you'll ever see. It is a place that you definitely need to visit because it is something, it's high desert, especially when you get northern Nevada. It is incredible. And so I highly recommend it. And lastly, I just got to thank all of the wonderful people that I met in Nevada that helped us along the way, and we are so excited about the next steps. And but we just wanted to stop and give thanks before we stepped across the border to Utah, and we're going to let you guys step across the border with us. So we're going to say goodbye to Nevada, wave goodbye, say thanks, guys, and we are crossing the border in cafe, bar, and casino and convenience store, and we are headed into Utah. So you guys are going to cross this border with Hal and I. I'm riding Hal. There's Miss Liberty sitting in the truck wanting to get out. Hal's like, can you get off me now? It's been a long day. Let me just get some water and relax. But the last couple feet before we enter Utah, and I am so excited. We have some incredible events coming up in Utah. We have Best Friends Horse Haven, who we're visiting June 1st through the 5th. And we cannot wait. It's a horse rescue there, and we're going to give back. And then we are going to Cariswood Arabians later in the month, which is just north of Salt Lake City, and it's some good friends of mine that own it, and we're going to be hopefully working with a youth program there and helping their Arabians learn liberty and just visiting with some friends. So we are so excited. We're going to see if we can go under this Utah sign and give thanks to Nevada, because we're excited about the next steps. We appreciate the past, but we cannot wait for the future. And we're so blessed, so fortunate. Hal, Gammy, Liberty, Nettie, and I just want to thank each and every one of you guys as we take the first steps into Utah. And if I'm pronouncing Utah wrong, let me know. I'm here to get educated too. All right, guys. Love you. So actually, this part brings a little emotion back to me. And you're not going to even see a video of it. But the day that we left Nevada and crossed into Utah was really a big day for us. And it was actually the day that my grandfather died and passed away. And that night, my sister and I can remember it just like it was yesterday, got to our stopping point. We can look back out over on the Nevada-Utah line out in the distance, and there was these beautiful rock cliffs and these rock, curvatures all over the place. And we got that call saying our grandfather passed away, and my grandfather was my best friend, and it somebody that I looked up to and was an inspiration and really taught me how to be a man. And that evening we started to watch the sunset, and my grandfather was big into birds, and he would set up a bird watching place at his house. So every day he'd go feed the birds and tell me about all the different types of birds that came. And as I was watching the sunset towards the Nevada line, as we just entered Utah, I saw two black birds fly up into the sunset, flying around. I really believe that it was my grandfather and my grandmother back reunited together. And they flew over into the sunset over our trailer, and then they flew off in the distance in the direction that we were headed. And I get chills thinking about it, but in my belief, it was my grandfather and my grandmother telling me that we're headed in the right direction. This trip is worthy, you're doing the right thing. And it was such a powerful moment, and one that was just directed towards me because my sister didn't see it. And it was one that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. My grandfather saying, "I'm proud of you," and keep going. What's happening, guys? Happy Sunday. I gotta show you guys what I'm taking in right now with Miss Gammy here. It is an incredibly beautiful day. It looks like in Nevada it's raining. They need a lot of rain because they're in a drought, a big time drought right now. But as we come up to the first mountain range in Utah, I noticed something particular. The mountain ranges have changed from kind of the blue, lots of trees, to kind of really tall, to very rocky mountain ranges. And it's probably going to change as I go through Utah, but it's amazing how the geography can change so quickly. And it's one of those things that I just wanted to show you guys that both are beautiful. It's just a different type of beauty as Gammy climbs this little rock wall there. And I've never been to Utah before, and neither has Miss Gammy here. But we are loving it so far. And we're about 18 miles in the day. We got another 5 miles or so until we get to our resting point tonight. And I wanted to share a quick story with y'all. So today I'm riding an Australian saddle. And for those who don't know, it's kind of a mix between an English and a Western saddle. And I got it from one of the people that I looked up to. His name's Chris Russvin of CC Cold. He passed away, I don't know, a year or two ago now. And I'm carrying him with me on this trip because he was always an incredible mentor. And he just had a way with horses, a way of putting his hands so that they could feel that they're loved, and using them in a way where the horse can relate. And he never did too much. He never did too little. He just did just the right amount. And so I'm riding in this saddle today to honor him. And it's not about riding bareback or with an English saddle or a Western saddle or an Australian saddle or a racing saddle or whatever it is, because it's all about just respecting the horse, trying to have a relationship with the horse, and taking in the beauty with your friend. And that's what I look at Gammy as. I look at her as a part of my family. I look at her as a friend. And I'm carrying all my friends and family with me on this trip. And I'm just enjoying one day at a time. So I can't wait to see what Utah has in store for us. We love you guys and have a great rest of your day. Morning, guys. Happy Tuesday. We are legit 46 miles into Utah. There's actually a mile marker right there. And I know I'm dressed a little bit differently today. I'm dusty, but that is because we are in the legit middle of the desert and it is sandy. As you can tell, we got Hal ready to ride today. Gammy has ridden 46 miles the last 2 days and she's like, boy, Dad, give me a break. And today is Training Tip Tuesday. And there's some really important points I want to make. So I grew up an athlete. I didn't get into horses until about 6 years ago. And if you don't see me riding a horse, this is probably what I'm dressed like. I feel comfortable in athletic shorts, athletic tops, gear. To me, it's just more comfortable and it makes my life just a little bit easier wearing these comfortable clothes. Anyway, I think horses are the most athletic creatures on the planet. They are so versatile. They can do so many things. And it's important for us as horse owners and as people that work with horses to treat them as such, to treat them as they are the athletes and we are the personal trainers. So it's important to know when to push, but it's even more important to know when to pull back, okay? Because rest is just as important as work. There has to be a balance. When I coached college soccer, one of the big things that we focused on was making sure that our athletes were prepared for the games where they mattered most. And that meant sometimes pulling back before that competition started so that they were mentally, physically, spiritually ready for the competition. So it's so important that even if you don't compete with your horse, understanding to treat them as if your personal trainer would treat you, okay? Secondly, and I can't preach this enough, if we are asking our horses to be athletes, it's so important that we put ourselves in the best physical, mental shape as possible, okay? It is so much easier when we are in better shape to handle horses, to ride horses, to make sure that we are able to give them everything. So I consider myself a horse trainer, but I also consider myself an athlete. And when I say that, it's so important for me to understand that I am in the best physical condition I can be when I'm working with these horses, because it makes me more agile, makes me more fit, so that when I climb on these horses' back or I'm working them at liberty, then I am able to match their athleticism in a way where I am not getting in their way, if that makes sense. So the training tips of the Tuesday, hopefully you guys enjoy. Just make sure that we treat our horses as best athletes as possible, but also make sure that we ourselves are in the best shape we can be for these horses. And I'm going to have my sister turn around because we have about 24-mile ride today, straight through the Utah desert, headed toward Delta, and we are legit heading towards those mountains back there today. And it is flat. We looked up the incline and decline, and I think we're going up or down about 50 feet the whole day. So I love you guys from Utah, Patrick, Mr. Hal, Gammy, Liberty, and Ned. So I had two different, completely opposite sides of the spectrum horses during this trip. We had Gammy, who was an old soul, one that I could take anywhere, anytime, any place, and would keep us safe. She might not want to go the distances that Hal wanted to go, but she was always there. And I always knew if I needed a steady Eddie, Gammy was the one. And then we had Hal. He was more like a youngster, right? Well, even though he's older than Gammy, he's more of a younger soul. He was just like always energetic. We could go out and ride 25 miles one day, and he was ready to go crush another 25 miles the next day. And he was always playing, always in your pocket, but he was kind of a worried horse. And we were completely bridleless at that point, and we were going to ride through our first hound. And it was kind of scary for me at first because this was the first opportunity that we could test Hal outside of somewhere that was just a desert, where there was few cars, few people. And then when you start riding through a town, you don't know what can happen because there's busy roads, there's plenty of cars, lots of things going on. And I just prayed that Hal would handle it well. What's happening, guys? So Hal and I here riding through Delta, Utah. This is just unbelievable, really, to think about it, because just a couple weeks ago, we were not even riding bridleless. And here we are riding through the middle of town here. Main Street's just right there to the left. And I decided not to ride all of it on Main Street because this is Hal's first experience in the town, in the city. And I want to make it as pleasant as possible. You see he's blowing out. He's breathing. He's getting really comfortable with it all. And, this is a horse that he's trying to find Gammy somewhere. But this is a horse somewhere that 3 years ago, there's no way on earth would I have said that I would be riding Hal, bridleless, through a town, cross country, and him just being calm and relaxed. Sure, he neighed a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it. As long as his feet stay still and relaxed and confident, I'm happy. So this is just a test run for him. I've been riding Gammy all through the towns, and I've been really working her because she's the confident one. But Hal needs to have these tests. And I have a halter right there in case I needed to put it on him and hop off and ride him with the halter through town. But so far, so good. And it just goes to show, guys, is that any horse can get confidence. But we just have to do it a little bit at a time, and we have to get them motivated to think, not react, to think. This would be a horse, even a couple years ago, that would want to take off on me, run away, not face his fears. And here we are riding through the middle of Delta, Utah, no bridle on his head, and he is gaining confidence each second that we go through this town. I'm so proud of this boy. I just cannot get over how far this guy has come, even in the month where we started riding. And he has a heart of gold. He has courage. And in my opinion, horses around the world are just looking to get confidence from us people. And us being able to do this right here in this beautiful town of Delta, Utah, it's one of the cleanest towns I've seen. They keep it really organized, really up to date, and it's a beautiful little place. It just goes to show that liberty, that giving horses choices, giving horses confidence is everything when it comes to getting a better horse to ride, to be around, and just to enjoy your time with. From Hal, Gamila Unbridled in Delta, Utah. We're hoping to take a day off tomorrow and relax once we get through this town here, and we can't wait for the day. Love you guys. Take care. Hal's doing awesome, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Happy Friday, guys. Hopefully you're all ready for the weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and I do this thing on my personal page. It's called Friday's Thought of the Week. And I'm going to share that with you guys on here today. And then I'll post it over to my personal account. But it's just an idea of things that I've been going through my head and experiences that we've been going through. And today, really, I left at 7:30. I was like, man, it's going to be a 26-mile ride. I want to get out there. The windstorm's going to blow in this afternoon. And I was like, man, I really, really want to get done by 1 o'clock. Well, 4.5 hours later, we're only like 16 miles in or something like that, because I thought I was taking a couple shortcuts, but it ended up being a long way around a valley. And that's the valley we just rode through from Delta, Utah, and we had to skip a couple cattle guards because there was quite a bit of cattle guards along the way. And of course, can't ask those horses to go through cattle guards because they can't. So, what we do with the cattle guards, I either go around them or we just hop in the trailer and just try to get on the other side of them. But when you are planning something, it is so important to remember that you need to be flexible. You have to say, hey, look, my plan is this, but if something comes up, we cannot be rigid in our plans. As long as the ultimate goal is always on top of in the back of your mind, it's important to remember that we have to be able to make adjustments, because those adjustments are kind of responses to things that we cannot foresee in the future. And so we go into life, we go into every day with a plan. We think about how many times where we have a plan that says we're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G today. And maybe we do A and G and C and E and don't get to the others. Because sometimes obstacles get in the way that we aren't ready for because we don't know that they're going to be there. And today was a perfect example of trying to overcome these obstacles. You plan ahead, you try to leave early, you try to do all the right things, but then little obstacles get in the way, and that's okay. And so Gammy and I are just taking in this beautiful scenery. Again, it's a beautiful little lake down there of farmland. I think they're growing alfalfa. And then ahead of us are these beautiful snow-capped mountains. And to the left is this mountain range where we're going to be going over here in a second. But I just wanted to make it a point that as we go throughout our lives, guys, it's so important that you remember to remain flexible and that you are able to make the proper corrections in your everyday life that are necessary while keeping the end goal in mind. I love you guys from Utah, Patrick and Gammy. I love riding this horse, giving Hal another day off. This will be his second day off in a row. Both the horses had a day off, and we just thank Delta for yesterday for housing us at their fairgrounds and being such kind people. And we cannot wait to see the rest of Utah because we're just kind of getting out of the desert in Utah and we're going into some crazy, gorgeous mountain ranges. We thank each and every one of you guys for your support. We love you guys. From Patrick and Gamila Unbridled, the famous Gammy here. We wish y'all a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. Love you guys. So other than the cars, there was a few really scary moments for me on the trip, and you're about to watch one of those moments take place firsthand on Hal. And this is why liberty is so important, because of what you're about to see. What's happening, guys? Happy Saturday. I swear all your prayers have come in handy today. The last, 3 miles seemed like it lasted forever. So as you can see, that's big farm country there, and there's Scipio, Utah. It's a beautiful town and really, really incredible. There's a lot of horses, a lot of cows. You can tell that it's horse country. People have been really respectful of me riding through. Anyway, I'm gonna let Hal here have a little bit of this food while I tell you guys a quick story. So we rode pretty much through all those sprinklers there, and this is going to be why liberty is so important and why getting your horse to think for themselves is so important. Because Mr. Hal here isn't the most overall confident horse, in the world. He's actually one of the least confident horses innately. But when he saw these sprinklers and it started all the way at that road over there, he started to get really big. He started to get his arched neck, nostrils, coming out, just there and there looking at it. And you can tell so bad he wanted to run. He wanted to leave. But instead, what did he do? He did the very first thing you teach a horse at liberty. And that is to stop, to look at it, to go towards it. People are like, liberty's silly. What's the point? I'm going to get on, I'm going to ride. But I'm going to tell you what, liberty could save your life someday. I don't know if you guys have ever been on a horse where they spook and they just take off or they buck or whatever else. And it's because they're not thinking. But Hal proved today, we went through probably 5 or 6 rounds of sprinklers and really close, probably from here to where that sprinkler is. And Mr. Hal looked at every single one of them, moved forward. He was scared, but he walked. Or he stopped. He did not think bolt. He did not think leave. He kept looking at me, checking in, and saying, hey, we're in this together. So Mr. Hal here, if you wonder why liberty is so important, I don't care if you're bridleless or have a bridle in or 2-rein, I do not care. It's important because liberty will give your horse the opportunity to think. And when they think, instead of reacting, you're going to be much safer. Anyway, we're headed down past Scipio. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's a beautiful town, into this gorgeous valley here, and into Salina, Utah here tomorrow. So I just wanted to give y'all a quick story and update about our boy Hal. I am so proud of him. Gammy wouldn't have had a big deal with it, but we have to push our horses through things in order for them to build confidence. But they have to be ready first. And you have to be ready, more importantly. I love you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. I'm a big man of faith. I try to live every day in that. And throughout the trip, I like to leave certain quote unquote sermons of how I was feeling in my faith and sharing a story or two of what I believe. And here's one of the early ones that we talked about. What's happening, guys? Happy Sunday. I tell you what, I dressed up in my Sunday's best for the first ever Sunday service for you and your horse. And we got this idea from one of our friends here on Facebook. He's like, you should start something on Sundays to talk about your faith and talk about what this journey has taught you. And, you know, we just got into Salina, Utah today, and everything pretty much was shut down apart from the gas stations and the laundromat, a couple other the stores, because, you know, on Sundays here in Utah, a lot of things are shut down, which is really nice. It's kind of like the old days in the U.S. where, you know, people spent Sundays with their family, with their friends, not working. And it was kind of nice to see. It was kind of eerie because we went into town and there was not a lot of people, not a lot of shops open, and it was pretty unique and a cool experience, and something that kind of take for granted when growing up in the city where everything was open pretty much every day of the week. But anyway, today I'm going to talk about how horses have helped me in my faith. And I'm going to start off by saying this: it's not a religious sermon. This is how horses have related to me and shown me God, and how horses has helped me throughout every single day become a better person. And I just want to share a quick story with you. As a lot of you guys know, as we posted last week, it was kind of a tough week for us because our grandfather passed away, and there was a day or two in there I was just, kind of feeling off. And one of the days, I think it might have been the day after he passed away, I went out into the back. We keep them in the back of the trailer with these panels, and I went back there, and you could tell that they just knew something was wrong with me. So they just stood with me as I stood there against the bleachers. They took a nap. I looked up at the mountains and just reflected on life, reflected on how things were going. And I didn't have to say a word to them. I didn't have to say a thing because they understood. They looked in my eyes. They saw my body language. They had a feeling. They knew my energy was not right, was not normal. So what they did for me that day, after the couple minutes or the 10, 15 minutes, however long it was, where I was out there with them and we were just together, I felt a greater light in me. I felt as if I was healed a little bit. All through their energy, all through them sensing something and wanting to be with me. And it brings me up to the point. To me, in my opinion, people, animals, we show our soul through our eyes. I feel like our eyes tell people about our soul, and our soul tells God about who we are. They're all interconnected, and we don't have to say a word to know how someone's doing by just looking in their eyes. Every single time that I work with a horse, whether it's for a minute or a 30-minute or an hour session, I want to help put light in their eyes. I want them to end up with more light in their eyes after the session that we had, or after the time that we spent together, that they had at the beginning. Because if we can influence their eyes, we are influencing their soul. And horses and animals, they can't think about a religious sense. But when they're at peace at earth, they are closer to God. They are closer to the universe. And I fully believe that. And the same thing goes for us. When you meet someone new, it doesn't take you very long. It doesn't even take you talking to that person to look in their eyes and see how much light is in it. Is there a sparkle? And when I meet people, I try to give them light. I try to give them something that is deeper than just a conversation. And I want to put it like this, guys. When you are able to impact a horse or a person by giving them a little bit extra light in their eyes, you're also helping them get light in their soul. And that light in their soul is getting them closer to the universe. It is getting them closer to God. And I feel every single time, without exception, that when we are able to give light, that light will stay with them for the rest of their lives. They'll never forget that light. They'll never forget that peace that they had when they were with you. And that will stick with them forever. So I just want you guys to know that as we go throughout our life, as we deal with these horses, as we meet new people, as we are around our friends and people that we see every single day in our family, do this. I challenge you to do this. Try to give the person light in their eyes, because that will reflect on their soul. And their soul will last forever. Their soul will be with them for eternity. So the more light and the more goodness and the more kindness that we can give these animals, that we can give each other, the happier we'll be, and the closer we will be to God and where we believe is heaven. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, I just want to make a point that I am not talking about any religion in particular. I am just trying to say that how these horses have shaped my life, how they have gained me closer to my faith, and how I try to live for them every single day by giving them light, giving them hope, giving them a future, and giving them the opportunity to find peace in this world, because that'll last with them forever. Love you guys. Have a wonderful Sunday. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in and joining us as a part of this journey. It really is pretty special for me to be able to look back and share my perspective on things throughout the trip, as you see through the videos and the Sunday sermons and all the different stuff that you see with Gammy and Hal, and get a full perspective of what it is that I went through. So you want to make sure that you turn in next week, because next week we are going to be sharing probably the most idiotic thing that I did the entire trip. And it almost created a divorce with my fiance at the time, or my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and a breakup with Gammy, most importantly. And she told me that if I ever do something that ridiculous again, this trip's over.